The Independent Network News is an American syndicated television news program that ran from June 9, 1980 to June 1990. The program aired 7 nights a week on various independent stations across the United States and was designed to serve those stations in the same manner that the Big Three network news programs ABC World News Tonight, NBC Nightly News and the CBS Evening News served their affiliates. History. The program debuted on June 9, 1980, under its original title Independent Network News. The newscast was a production of Tribune Broadcasting's New York City station WPIX, and was distributed by Tribune's syndication division as one of the first programs that the company produced for the syndication market. As in was produced at WPIX, that station's on-air news staff presided over the broadcast. The nightly broadcast was helmed by a 3-anchor team consisting of Pat Harper, Bill Jorgensen, and Steve Bosch, with Jerry Gerard reporting on sports and Roberto Tirado providing national weather forecasts, and WPIX's local reporting staff was also utilized for the program. Saturday and Sunday editions of IN were added to the schedule in October 1980. IN also used reports from its member stations, the Associated Press, United Press International, Vice News, and later CNN, to supplement its own coverage. WPIX transmitted the national show's live feed at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. In the New York City area, WPIX paired a replay of the national IN broadcast at 10 p.m. with its own local newscast at 10:30, called the Action News Metropolitan Report. As part of a midday expansion of IN starting in 1981, WPIX also experimented with a half-hour midday newscast at 12:30 p.m. that was co-anchored by Marvin Scott. During the decade, WPIX also offered the business-oriented news program The Wall Street Journal Report, and the Sunday Newsmaker Show from the editor's desk, hosted by Richard D. Hefner, to stations carrying IN. Bill Jorgensen left the program in 1983. Bosch and Harper continued to anchor together for another year until Bosch departed in 1984 to join KDFW-TV in Dallas. Brad Holbrook, who joined the operation a year earlier, became co-anchor with Harper. Also in 1984, WPIX dropped its action news format for the station's local newscasts and decided to rebrand its 7:30 and 10:30 p.m. newscasts as in The Independent News, while it cancelled the midday newscast. In January 1985, Holbrook was transferred to WPIX's early evening newscast and replaced on IN by veteran CBS News correspondent Morton Dean, who was hired by Tribune to anchor the national newscast. 4 months later, Pat Harper departed from the program to join WNBC-TV. Sheila Steinbach was then hired from WBAL-TV in Baltimore and assigned as Dean's co-anchor. In January 1987, the national IN newscast was renamed USA Tonight and kept that name for the remainder of its run. 2 years later, Dean left Tribune to take a position at ABC News and was replaced by Brad Holbrook, the anchor he unseated 3 years earlier. Holbrook and Steinbach served as the anchor team for the remainder of the national IN broadcast's existence. USA Tonight continued to air into 1990, although by then far fewer stations were carrying the broadcast, partly as more focus was being placed on their own local news operations. With this in mind, Tribune Broadcasting chose to cancel the IN newscast in June of that year, while it retained trained some of the program's staff to cover news stories from Washington, D.C. for the Tribune stations. On March 13, 2009, Tribune Broadcasting officially closed the Washington bureau, citing economic reasons. Stations airing in When it premiered, the program aired on Tribune's 3 television stations at the time: WPIX, WGN-TV in Chicago and KWGN-TV in Denver. Other stations that later picked up in were KCOP in Los Angeles, WVTV in Milwaukee, WSBK-TV in Boston, WKBD-TV in Detroit, KMSP-TV in Minneapolis, WHME-TV in South Bend, Indiana, WTTV in Indianapolis, WUTV in Buffalo, New York, WCIX in Miami, WDCA-TV in Washington, D.C., WPGH-TV in Pittsburgh, WTAF-TV in Philadelphia, and KH-TV in Houston.